Hi everyone, it is day number 10 of Mass Make March, and today we are making booklets. So I am doing a voiceover again today because I have a little cold and I just think it's easier to speed this up and talk to you. So I have put together a bunch of things that are very random out of my paper bin that I hang on to. You know, like things like magazine pages, digitals that I didn't use, book pages. So I'm using those kind of things for the covers of these booklets. And I've also collected a bunch of smaller papers that you see to the right there. They are things like ledger paper, notebook paper, and those are going to go inside of our little booklets. I'm going to aim to have probably 3 or 4 pages inside the booklet, nothing too fat because I don't want them to fatten up my journals too much. So I'm just now gluing the backside of the main kind of focal image for the cover, and I'm going to glue this one down actually on a book page so that both sides will have something nice to look at. So the outside is a digital of some vintage seed packets, and the inside is a page from a book called Listen to the Rain, and it was quite a pretty book. So now I'm just going to trim the excess paper off and then fold it. It's good to use a bone folder to just get those nice neat creases. And I'm just going to round the corners. And then we'll choose some nice papers to go inside. So this one I think I'm going to just do a nice simple 3-hole binding with some embroidery floss that's red. What's nice about these simple little booklets is you don't have to like do a lot of pre-planning with a template. You can just go ahead and stitch. They come together quite quickly. It's also a nice way to practice tying in signatures if you're new to bookbinding. So I'll just tear a little of the excess paper off. So this one will now be done. It will go aside in my stitching pile. Now I want to try an idea where I use these little bags as the cover for a little booklet. So I'm just going to glue this back flap of the bottom of the bag to create a bit of a pocket so I can actually stick a little journal card or a tag on the inside cover. Sorry for the gravelly voice. I am crippling through this cold. So this is a digital page that I printed from my new digital kit. It is called Watercolor Weeds and Wilds, and this lovely fox, I'm going to use him on the cover here. And I'll just glue down that focal point, smooth it out. And I'm just going to put a little thumb hole in the front because the cover will actually have a pocket as well. And then I'm just choosing a few papers and looking at the other side of that digital with that pretty moth to use on the back side. So that will be the back cover of this notebook, or booklet rather. These aren't notebooks, they're booklets.
This thing on?
I'm just going to ink up a little scrap to just use to cover that little folded flap in the little bag, and add a little ink to the front to just give it a nice kind of more vintage tone. just going to glue it down on some sturdy page from a book just to give it a little more weight because it will be the back cover. I need to choose and trim some papers for the inside. So now this little strip of paper, I'm actually using it to just bind the edge. I am going to stitch down it as well, but I do like how that kind of an edge looks on these little booklets. It also, this method will also allow you to put a single page in rather than a folded folio because you're going to stitch down the edge and it will allow you to secure the paper that way. And I'm just looking for like a little label or something to add to the front to just give it one more little element. I have a jelly print that I've been wanting to use up. It was sort of some waste paint from when I was jelly printing on fabric. I'm just going to trim the edges here and make a booklet with this. The inside is lined with like a floral book page. And then I'm just going to look at my little creatures here and find a couple that would go nicely on the cover. I'm just going to choose that little green toned bunny and the little chipmunk. Just kind of fussy cut around these and then we will ink them up. I'm going to glue these down with some art glitter glue because this is printed on a heavier cardstock paper. Unclogging the glue bottle, of course. And I'm just setting them down lightly, not pressing them all the way down because I think I'd like to put a couple of bits behind them to collage with. Some book spine. And a little word snippet. And then just selecting some papers. Just adding ink to both sides of the pages. So now I'm moving on to the next booklet. This is a book page. Just trim it down and get some more papers for this book. And rounding off the corners. I'm just going to add a little coffee dyed label. This is from some stamping of labels that I did quite some time ago. And now I'm going to use some digital from one of my digital kits, and my Mycology digital kit. If you're interested in this, you can find it in my Etsy shop. So I'm just going to glue this down on the front of another one of those little paper bags. Punching that thumb hole so it will be a pocket on that cover. And I'm just sizing some papers to put inside the booklet. And then I'm just going to tear out all of these elements to plan for the rest of the booklet. I want to try to use up as much of this page as I can in the book. So this one will be kind of an interesting little booklet. So I'm just going to ink up this quote from the kit and glue it down on that same flap and do the same pocket technique I did with the other one, and we'll put the quote on the flap this time. And then I'll ink up the back of this little journal card and pop it in the pocket. And those are the pages that I'll use for the booklet. And that's going to be the back cover. Actually, I've decided to just use a little piece of paper, and I'm going to glue a couple of the elements from the digital kit on there. I'll put that little tiny booklet piece in the center of the kit and staple that one up to the top of the front page, so we'll give some interest on the inside of the booklet. Trim off the excess paper, and now we need to ink up this back cover, and then I have to put it on something more firm so it can be an actual back cover, and I'm using a scrap of this nice steel blue-gray paper that was torn from a book. Just trimming up the excess. Sorry, it's a little off camera. I'll try to pull out a little further in my next video. So just taking a little strip of that steely blue paper now, and I'm going to use that as the binding strip down the side of the booklet again. So just kind of center it and then bend it upward, and then take a bone folder to really press it down nicely. And then I will stitch down that line as well. And then I have this was a children's book that was like a story of like a fox in the winter time. So this will be the cover of the next booklet. And then I have a page that's just kind of a winter scene. So I'm going to use that on the back. And then this is another page from the same book, and I'm going to just glue both sides down to it to create a backing for the whole book itself. And then I'll just trim around and even up the edges. And then I'm just going to get another strip to glue down the center. That will prevent the two edges of the paper where they meet from flipping up when I fold the book. Kind of the same thought as the binding strip on the folded books themselves. So I'm just going to trim it down a little bit. Get rid of the uneven edges. I'm just rounding the corners and selecting some papers. I have all these cute little notebook papers, many of which were given to me by Nancy of Witches and Weeds because she's lovely. I'm going to stick one of the pages of the book with the little poetry about the fox inside this one. I'm just trimming down this piece of watercolor paper. So that goes into the stitching pile. And then I have this large botanical image from an old magazine. And I like the inside of that one large floral, so I'm just going to cover the back where there's all that text. And just fold it over because that will let me just tear it with clean lines. And then just selecting and sizing a few papers. And I'm going to bind this one with some purple embroidery floss. Just trimming the excess paper, rounding off the corners, and thinking I want to put some kind of a little focal point on there. So I've gone back to my little creatures and chosen this cat because he has a little bit of purple in his ears. And I'll maybe grab a few little collage-y bits from my scraps and my snippets. Fussy cutting that cat so I can complete this collage. And adding a little word snippet there. Just some ink to take away all that brightness. Alright, I'm back from stitching and we made 7 booklets today. So this one I zigzag stitched down the side. It has this pocket in front because these were made with baggies, and it has a little pocket back here too. And this one I was able to put single paper into because of how I've bound it. Then this one, of all the owl folk, this one was also stitched. This one I stitched down the center. This one I also stitched down the center, and it's super cute. And then this one, this is made from my mycology kit. This is also a baggy booklet on the front, and we have a little quote there, little bits and bobs inside, and then the little fox notebook. This one was also stitched down the side. This one I hand bound. For some, it seems to be their fate to always be a bit too late, and I just added some stitching around the edges. And then the final one, I added stitching zigzagging around the edges to this one. And that is it for today. I will see you tomorrow for more of our Mass Make March, but let's just write down that we made 7 booklets. Okay, bye for now.